From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, and streaming live on Facebook, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, James Brolin. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and Vinnie Tortorich drops by. And now, his penis is Potsy, but his brain is Fonzie. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The truth with Mendy. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for sharing. I talk to so many people when I'm on the road that just share it with the husband, wife, co-worker. That's how we're able to go into our 10th year. We're 2 weeks away from our 10-year anniversary. Less. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
And Bald Brian. That guy's got the penis of a 13-year-old. And Vinnie Tortorich, our favorite Vinnie Tortorich.
Hello.
I am excited because we were talking a few weeks back about Tom Brady's bizarre diet, and I'm very excited to have you sort of break down his diet, because his diet seems...
The souls of other football fans?
Yes, Rams fans. Yeah, he feasts on the souls of Rams fans. No, I like any diet because it suggests a plan. It's like it's a New Year's resolution. Like if you talk to someone and you go, "What's your New Year's resolution?" and they go, "Well, I'm going to try to go to bed by midnight, but it's kind of tough because I'm kind of a night owl." I go, good. When I talk to someone and I go, "What's your New Year's resolution?" and they go, "What year's resolution?" and I go, "Oh my God, you should at least have something. Right. Have something." Yeah. And so I like that Brady has something, and I like any diet because it suggests a plan, right. But some plans are better than others, and his seems fairly cuckoo, but I'd like to know from Vinnie Tortorich, and we have the diet printed out, so we'll get to that in a second. I am going to tell you why I'm me. And why you should all worship at the altar of me.
Boy. Strap in.
First,
it's gonna take a while.
I'll let you know this half of the show is brought to you by MedMen. Go to medmen.com, enter Adam Carolla Challenge. You can tweet us your questions at Adam Carolla Show with hashtag Carolla Challenge. Scott's Turf Builder and Tommy John at TommyJohn.com. James Brolin is coming in, and I'm excited. I was taking a deep dive into James Brolin, and as I showed you, I got a picture of a transport truck with a Ferrari 308 in the foreground and the transport truck in the background, and it says Paul Newman, driver, Gene Hackman, team manager, James Brolin, Clint Eastwood, driver on the side of a transport truck with a Ferrari that is sponsored by Budweiser in the foreground. And it's a car that I'm aware of, and it's a truck that I'm aware of, and I think the same gentleman owns them both, which is always nice. And I always knew Brolin did a little driving back in the day, but I didn't know he drove with Clint Eastwood and with Paul Newman. And so if you look at the picture and you check it out, as a matter of fact, Max Zapata, I got some new monitors, some old new monitors at my house if we want to try to replace these two or some sort of splitter problem or whatever. But let's make a note. I'll see if we can fix that.
Will do.
But if you blow the picture up, it says Budweiser, it says Ferrari, it says Clint Eastwood, it says James Brolin as the drivers, it says Paul Newman as a driver, and then it has Gene Hackman. Some of it seemed like a goof, but I'm curious. So I started looking into it a little, and I said to Dylan, look into Brolin's driving, and he said, turns out, let's see, the 24 hours at the Nuva Ring. And I said, Nürburgring? And he said, yeah, something like that. I said, well, that's a big track. That's a big race. That's a big deal.
Nürburgring's a little smaller.
And he said,
yeah.
And then he screamed, you're not the boss of me, man. My dad's a lawyer. He'll sue your ass. So
he said, my dad owns the park. Remember that? My dad owns the park. Did you guys ever get into that?
Yeah, I got.
Like you'd fight another kid, like, my dad owns this park. You're like 7 years old.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I'd get stuff like, my dad has an elephant gun, and he's going to come out here and shoot you. Like,
heard, yeah, like I invented the question mark.
These poor kids now. My dad's addicted to you porn. Don't make me get him out of his office. Like, what? Hey, my dad is a taekwondo expert.
Sure.
He's going to come down here and beat your ass.
My
Like,
dad has an opioid. I wouldn't know it. Dependency, I guess you'd
He's
call
not
it.
going to share any more oxy with you.
that's right. It was supposed to be a simple dental procedure. 4 years later, we're in ruins. So I said to Dylan, look into his racing. And he said, okay. And then he said, he drove at Sebring. And I said, well, Sebring, that's the 12 hours of Sebring, which is the trifecta. It's the 24 hours of Le Mans, it's the 24 hours of Daytona, and then the 12 hours of Sebring. Those are the big endurance races we've talked about before. And then I said, what did he do? And he said, who'd he drive with, or what car did he drive, and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, he was a night rider. He drove at night. And then I said, no, they have shifts. They go back and forth, like 2 hours in, 2 hours out. But anyway, a few moments ago, I said, any more about Sebring? He's like, yeah. He drove a Porsche 924 Turbo, was put out of the race when he hit a pig.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
A dog was chasing a pig across the track, and
For
he hit
real?
a pig. Yes, and I said, that's why you have to
Yeah,
take
that's
those dives. So,
Wow.
yeah, Doberman's chasing a pig, and the Doberman trapped. So Sebring is kind of rural. It's in Florida. It's not a track. It's a airport, and they put cones up and stuff to kind of make it into a track, like they do. Some tracks, like Laguna Seca and stuff, are sealed off tracks. The others are just sort of end up taking streets that they put hay bales around for one day.
Well, that's like Le Mans, right?
Yeah, Le Mans that way, although it's probably all sort of caged in now. But they used to have races that kind of went down the street. And
Right.
so if there was a pig and a dog and a whatever, you might hit something.
Small quick
Or a kid. So now I'm really interested in talking to him about hitting a pig at Sebring. Speaking of cars, and I thought of Brian, I thought of Gina. I didn't think of Vinnie.
Damn.
But I went to the Chicago Auto Show, biggest auto show in the country, so they say.
No kidding.
It is now. At the convention center in Chicago's massive, and I guess it's bigger in LA and bigger in Detroit, and blah blah blah. Oh, by the way, in the somewhere on my deathbed when I'm just scrolling through all of the things, I used to go religiously to the LA Auto Show, and I kind of stopped because I started just doing a bunch of vintage racing and doing things that were more interesting. But I used to go. But one of the biggest problems was you would go there, and I'd go right to like the Audi booth, and I'd go, "Oh, do you have the new RS7?" And they'd go, "Yeah, that's out." And there's one prototype or whatever, and I'd go, "Where is it?" And they'd go, "It's in Detroit." And I'd go, "Why is it in Detroit?" And they'd go, "Because the Detroit Auto Show takes place the same weekend that the LA Auto Show does. But if you'd like to see a stock A4 with a cloth interior, we have that." And I'm
You're
like,
in luck.
I can go to McKenna Audi and look at 5 dozen of those. I want to see the cool stuff. And then you'd go to like the Porsche thing, and you go, "Oh, do you have the new Cayman SG with the whatever?" And they go, "Yeah, that's at Detroit. We have a bone stock 911 here that Jerry Seinfeld farted on." And I'd go, "Why are we having the events at the same?" If the biggest one in the world is Detroit and LA, but LA sells way more Audis. There's not a lot of RS7s in Detroit
In that
driving around the
market,
street.
yeah.
It's Detroit area. The biggest market in the world for probably out, like Porsche probably sells more Porsches in SoCal than they do in Europe. They really do, but certainly Michigan.
Those cars should go be on the tour, basically. You know, one
Right.
weekend here. It's like having the Venice Film Festival and then Sundance the same weekend. It's like, no, man, your stars to go where they're needed.
5 years of me going, "Why are we having this on the same weekend and all your good stuff's in Detroit, and yet you move all your product here in LA, but none of it's here?" And eventually someone went, "Yeah, what we did is we moved the timing from Detroit. We moved ours earlier." And I was like, "Of course. Why does everything take so long? Why do I have to complain so long about don't you get tired of people coming up to the booth going, 'Where's the good stuff?' And you go, 'It's at Detroit.'"
Let's cut to the chase.
So they did stagger the Detroit and the LA Auto Show. Anyway, Chicago one is the biggest. We went there with Casserole, and I did some media stuff there. And I had some downtime in between, and me and August walked around and looked at cars. And so they had, and it's huge. So they had like the Jeep experience where you get in a Jeep and you go up over the fake man-made hills stuff indoors.
Oh, wow.
cool.
Didn't Christy do
That's
that?
great. With Land Rover, yeah.
Indoors.
Actually, on a course, though. In
Right,
England, too.
okay.
They had the Land Rover one. Here's how clean cars burn, by the way, now.
You can run 'em indoors.
You can start a
insane.
V8 Land Rover indoors and drive it up and down a fake hill.
That's insane.
So they got the Land Rover obstacle course. They got the Ram truck one. They got the Jeep one. And then I go to the other side. I see Subaru.
Oh.
All right, now we're
Guess
talking.
what they got?
The love maze?
Yeah, see a picture station with
We
your
always
family.
talk about how they're made with love, and
Yep.
you can't make them without love, and it's all about good vibes. If you can find a picture, Max
gotta
Zapata,
be
a
puppy,
selfie
right?
station or something.
It's got to be a puppy in it or something.
well,
It's like a pop-up store.
let's see. Max Zapata, is this
Oh,
something we
baked
don't
goods.
Yeah.
something we don't possess, or there's an issue?
Cookies, sugar cookies shaped like Subarus.
Oh, it is puppies.
Oh!
Well done.
Yay!
I'll tell you how I guess that. We actually own the Subaru. We're on Subaru number 2. It's our favorite car.
Mine too. I'm on
and
number
the whole
3.
thing, they send you a thing every month, and it's all about puppies and, you know.
It should be about bonderized steel I-beam suspension.
No. Let me tell you. You get that. I'm going to bring you a few of these magazines. It's
Please.
about really, really, really good-looking people camping with granola
Right.
and puppies.
It's
That's
a-
all
That
they
sounds
ever
like
do.
a life.
It's alive. It's a pet adoption.
Yeah.
It's literally everybody else is watching their truck go over a mountain and talking about a limited slip diff and torque ratios, and they're giving out puppies. Literally puppies.
Serena would love that.
Has Subaru has Subaru gotten to the point where it's so renowned for its ruggedness and its off-roading that now they're just it's puppies because
Yeah.
everyone knows?
No.
They're Richard Gere with Cindy Crawford. Like, where do we go from here?
Puppies.
No, they're not so renowned for their
And like
anything.
the Outbacks. I mean, they've secured
No,
that
every-
demo.
Well, they
No,
had rally
everybody.
cars
Jeep,
for a
when
long time.
Jeep won World War II, that no one they go. Jeep
Yeah, but
goes
still.
to Jeep. Jeep is Jeep. That's going over hills and dales. I don't even know what a dale is. Do you have another picture? There's the kissing booth where
What?
the puppy a puppy kissing booth.
It's good.
Yeah. So, in the middle
don't see the
of
problem.
1 million square feet of cars being given
come
away,
on,
they just
look
have.
at
It was so on brand. It was so perfect.
Well, as
It was-
Christy pointed out when she was here, Subaru's killing it. They're doing really well with this love thing. That's like they've got a foothold in this unique space.
Their
I have that
car
car.
says Subaru loves pets.
Did they have any sort of?
It's not Subaru. Subaru has found out that the demo is pussies. Everyone's a pussy. Everyone is
minute, I have one of
everyone
those.
is a classic pussy, and we're going to sell cars to pussies.
Hey man, pussies buy cars too.
That's right.
Pussies buy cars too.
They got nothing to do. There is no discussion of sticker price or horsepower or torque or.
Oh, they have
how
no
steep a climb.
horsepower.
There's
They-
nothing. It's all we love pets.
I had to buy a vet just to offset the Subaru.
Was there anything like you could get in the car and it would do anything fun for you,
It
or
would purr at you.
You'd find another puppy in the glove compartment?
It was just. It's in a world where everyone else was just trying to sell the performance of their vehicle.
Awesome.
Subaru had no discussion about anything other than dogs, puppies, and good vibes in a kissing booth with a dog sleeping in it.
That's genius. That's a differentiator. Everyone's
certainly
playing.
worked.
Everyone's
Christy gives
swimming
an
in
A+.
in the same pool.
by the
Certainly
way,
worked.
their 4-cylinder Boxster engine with that all-wheel drive system with the computer in it works like a charm in the snow. It just does.
I
But we
love
wouldn't
It does.
know
That's
that
why-
because
that's
we're
why
too
we
busy
have
looking
it.
at puppies.
No, we do a lot of snow stuff, so that thing tracks like it's on a rail.
Do you have? Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying.
We wouldn't know.
They
because
wouldn't
didn't
tell
I'm
tell
us.
saying
anybody.
that we talked about the good vibes of Subaru, and out of 1 million square feet and 1,000 companies represented, there was one
Perfect.
that had a puppy kissing booth.
That was super.
Live animals. You have live puppies at this car show. I've never seen that.
Never seen that. And they make an all-wheel drive, like all-terrain vehicle. It's not like they make pink golf carts for the Budweiser girls to get around in. This is an all-terrain vehicle. Anyway, it's working,
Yeah.
and I'm sad to say it's working.
Proud Crosstrek owner.
We have Tom Brady's diet.
Yeah, I brought some stuff in, but Christy, you have it also, or
Yeah, it's
are
on.
we
It's
go-
on Vinnie's sheet.
It's on Vinnie's sheet. But Vinnie doesn't have the diet?
He has it too, but
okay.
I just went on the internet and wrote some stuff down because people started asking me about 2 weeks ago when the Super Bowl happened. So I went in because, look, a year ago people were telling me, hey, Tom Brady is doing NSNG. So I was like, well, that's great. And Tom Brady started talking about how he felt better than he felt when he was 27 years old. You know, all of a sudden, all of his aches and pains are gone. So I went through and just took the broad strokes. These are things that Tom will eat. Pussy, veggies, whole grains, grass-fed beef, wild salmon, olive oil raw, and coconut oil.
Not cooked, not olive oil for cooking.
Not heated.
Right.
Just raw. Those are all things Tom will eat. These are some of the don'ts, and then I'll get into the nuances in a second. No white sugar. Okay. Does he eat brown sugar? White flour. I get that. And seed oils. I agree with all of that. The only thing I would pull off of the other list would be the whole grains.
Right.
Right. And that would make it perfect. Then he stays away from nightshades. Now, a lot of people have trouble with nightshades.
Why? I never understood this.
Some people are
tomatoes, eggplant, bell peppers. These are fruits that bloom at night, or vegetables that bloom at night.
Something to that. I don't know why they're called nightshades. They're nightshades. People have problems with them. The problem I have with this is peppers are usually known as an anti-inflammatory. But for whoever put him on this wacky diet decided that he's allergic to that. And I'll explain why that's a problem in a minute. Eggplants, mushrooms, peppers, tomatoes. Tomatoes are probably the biggest problem here. Usually if you're having a sliced tomato on a salad or something, it's not enough to cause anything. It's when it's concentrated and cooked down into a sauce or, ketchup and this sort of thing. He also stays away from dairy. Here is the thing on dairy. Half of the population, literally half from what I can tell, can have all the dairy they want. I'm one of those people. I can eat cheese, butter, heavy cream, no problem. Other people can look at dairy and become inflamed. And there's no rhyme or reason to either one. Apparently someone checked, or he checked, or, and the way you check is the same way you figure out if you have celiac disease. You go in and you stop eating gluten, and if you feel better, obviously you have a problem with celiac. Same with dairy. If you can't lose weight, if you always feel inflamed, if you have irritable bowel syndrome or anything like that, it could be dairy, it could be tomatoes or nightshades or whatever. So maybe he had that problem. I don't know. The problem comes in when celebrities start espousing these diets and they put them out there and everyone else starts going, well, Tom Brady's 41 and he's winning Super Bowls, so this must be the way to eat. Right? And that's where I have a problem when things become conflated in media. The other person that's doing that right now is, I always called her Bouncy, but Beyonce, where she's saying that you could get lifetime free tickets to her concerts if you just go vegan. And I just heard where this Cory Booker guy is, if he wins and becomes president, we're going to change everything again and just become vegan. And there's nothing good about that.
The Green New Deal.
Yeah.
You just get to eat greens.
That's right.
It's
all kale all the time.
Exactly. They're talking about this Green New Deal. And we're already in trouble as a country. And they're looking to make it worse. Right?
Well, is Brady eating oatmeal with some fruit, some bananas in it or something like that for breakfast? Probably not the Vinnie Tortorich way.
No, I would tell him to get off of the bananas. It's full of sugar, and he's having shakes, too. He's drinking a lot of quote-unquote protein shakes.
But can we also make this as it's a sort of I don't know, the Mark Spitz thing, or whoever who's got the most gold medals in swimming.
Oh, Phelps?
Phelps.
If you're going to swim for 11 hours a day, you can eat whatever you want and as much as you want, and you're going to look pretty good in a Speedo because you never stop working out. I mean, we have to understand that Tom Brady is literally being paid to show up to a facility and work out all day, every day. So, of course, in and out would work for him. I don't know that he'd played peak form into his 40s, but I'm saying keep in mind the guy's on his feet in a training facility all day. So you kind of go like, well, look, he looks pretty good. Well, of course, he's in a facility 7 hours a day taking snaps.
That helps, and also having the Lynette Carolla syndrome also helps. Some people can eat whatever they want, and as you say, Lynette eats and she gets thinner. You know,
Well, she never changes. She never gets fat. It
Right.
doesn't matter what she.
And
what she eats.
whenever I talk to her, she looks at me and goes, talk to the hand type of thing. You know, it's like, come on, look at me. And and Phelps could be one of those people. And whenever the
he could, or he could just.
He's a world-class athlete.
He
You
just
can't-
swims
no,
for 17
most-
hours a day.
I would
well,
like
no.
to-
If you have bad genes, you have bad genes.
Right.
You're going to look a little. There are guys who fight in the MMA who look a little roly-poly. That's a sort of their genes. But if you have regular genes and you swim for 9 hours a day, you're probably going to be in pretty decent shape. And also,
Absolutely.
you're 26.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know how much of this. So what do we disagree with? We don't like. Well, how about the Himalayan pink sea salt?
It's pretty, but does it make a difference?
Himalayan pink sea salt is the second best salt on the planet.
What's the first one?
It comes from Utah. It's Redmond's Real Salt, and you could get it at any douchebag store. You get it on Amazon or wherever you go. Redmond's Real Salt has more nutrients than any other salt on the planet. I think the stuff that comes out of Eastern Europe is all. It's got like 59 or 60 different minerals in it. Redmond's has like 63 or 64. And it comes from Utah. It was a buried seed.
Is it harvested from like Salt Lake? That's a stupid question. But I mean-
No, it's not. It's actually, it comes from Redmond, which is probably 90 miles adjacent to Salt Lake City, and they're pulling it out 500 feet below the surface of the earth. I know all of this because it's what I use in my salt pill.
Wow.
It's the salt that I looked for the best salt in the world, and it was actually in the United States.
So if we're going for second best salt, are we talking Trader Joe's Himalayan pink salt?
Absolutely, same stuff.
Okay.
Comes right out of Pakistan, and that's where most of it is coming from.
Is
right
there a
now,
discernible
Pakistan.
taste difference between Himalayan pink sea salt and just sea salt?
Yeah,
There is.
you will notice a difference.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and it's damn good. It tastes
Oh,
really
right.
good.
Well,
Jay Leno
yeah.
has like the weird black volcano salt I saw
It's awesome.
in his
A
kitchen
lot of the
in his
Redmond
shop.
stuff is black too.
Yeah.
It comes black or red. Even the pink sea salt has a lot. If you took a big chunk of it, you'll see a lot of black. And if you take a flashlight under a big rock of it, you'll see black and pink pushing through. It goes right through. You can see right through the rock.
Let me tell you quickly about MedMen, and then we shall continue. Break free from the status quo this year. Surprise someone special with a different kind of flour, candy, or chocolate from MedMen Premium Dispensaries. They may even have a love potion or two. All, by the way, the color over there is red. That's their jersey color over there. It's the color Passion Desire as well. If you're single, you can treat yourself to a day or night out to one of MedMen's 15 locations. Let their team, including in-house pharmacists at medical stores, help you find the gift you've always wanted. Go to medmen.com. Find the store nearest you. MedMen, M-E-D-M-E-N, medmen.com to find the store nearest you. Right, Dawson?
This February, love and cannabis is in the air, where there's the perfect match for everyone. Visit a MedMen store and used code Adam Carolla at checkout to get 10% off your purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
I got a lot of tweets. I'm going to let Vinny reload for a second. I got a lot of tweets because Crank Yankers is coming back.
Yeah.
And I was aware of it, but there was some sort of official release, and people got hold of it.
It's exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad that people like the show. I'm
Will you be involved in the day-to-day?
Yeah, I don't know what involvement in the day-to-day I shall be, but me, Jimmy, and Daniel Kelson, Danny Two Sheets are all getting back together.
You'll be flying to Vegas to make those calls?
I guess. It'd be, the thing that's funny is the onus is on Jimmy, because the thing about Crank Yankers is it always had these great, Eminem and Dave Chappelle and all these great guys would do, and gals would
Wu-Tang.
do the show, the Wu-Tang Clan and stuff like that. And and Jimmy is going to have to when George Clooney comes on his show, he's going to have to go during the commercial break. Hey, you want to lay down a couple of whatever, which is fine. As he was telling me, the problem is George Clooney is going to go, oh, we're doing an auction for a charity, whatever, like a week from Saturday, and we need an MC. And so Jimmy's going to get sucked into all their
Turns out I have a free
stuff
weekend.
as well,
Yep.
which is the way it works, and the way it should work, and that's the way it's going to go. So we'll keep you guys posted. I had him pull an old crank yankers, which was Bircham, calling into, I think, a mall security place, trying to get a job as a mall security guard. And I picked it because I'm in it. And I picked it because Crank Yankers has come back. But I picked it because it doesn't really, you don't need much visual on this one. I think it's pretty much just tells the story audibly. It's Bircham trying out for a mall security gig.
Hello?
Hello. The security guard place?
Yes, it is.
Oh, great. My name's Bircham. I'm new to the area, and I'm looking for a job.
Okay, right now we're not hiring because we don't have any openings.
Not hiring, huh?
No.
Not hiring guys that did 3 tours in NAM and are third-degree black belts in Taekwondo?
Not at the moment.
Not hiring a guy who can take an AK-47 blindfolded, break it down, oil it, and reassemble it in less than 4 minutes? You're not hiring any of them?
We don't.
Not hiring a guy who can kill a man using only his thumb on his left hand?
Well, we don't have any openings at the moment. So if we hire you, we don't
Not
have any
hiring a guy who modified his AK-47 to go full automatic and added a 40-round banana clip to it? You're not hiring that guy? Not hiring a guy who customized his van so it looked like the A-Team van? You're not going to hire that guy? You're not going to hire a guy who laid his life on the line for this country so that you could go home to your lesbian partner and live in a judgment-free society? I think you are hiring that guy.
Hello?
Hello?
Can I help you?
You guys hiring?
No, we're not.
You're not, huh?
No.
You're not hiring a guy who was a master in the Shotokan discipline of the martial arts and who trained Green Berets for 4 years on the Mekong Delta before he began his street-year tour? You're not hiring a guy who can slide in like a viper and take his prey out with piano wire and
We'd
never
love
be
to,
detected?
sir, but we haven't got any vacancies.
No vacancies, huh?
Indeed.
Now, who is this, Mr. Belvedere?
Mr. Who?
I ran into your kind when I was in NAM. A squad leader with your accent. Never did get along with the man. Ended up killing him in a bar fight. But that's beside the point.
Damn right, it's besides the point.
You guys need qualified personnel. Yes or no?
I believe you're speaking to one, sir.
You got a bunch of guys who couldn't pass a GED. Their cholesterol level's
Excuse me,
370.
sir. Who are you exactly?
I'm Bircham, Vietnam vet and American.
Right. Anyway, I believe I've answered your question. No vacancies, sir.
Listen,
You're welcome to call back in a
I
month's
come
time.
with my own arsenal. I don't need any of that police issue mace or any of those plastic handcuffs you fairies are handing out. I come in there with my own uniform and I play by my own rules. Now, what do we guard? Malls?
I don't know who you are, sir. I've answered your question. Now you're going in somewhere else.
Tell you what, guys like you and Nam would chew you up and spit you out.
Okay, whatever. Have a nice day, sir. Goodbye.
Yeah, you end up on the bottom of some guy's boot.
Little Tony Clifton.
So it's coming back.
Here's what the audience needs to know. I was watching Adam the whole time. He was literally mouthing the words. He knows it you know it by heart.
No.
Come on.
You didn't listen to it in your free time.
I don't even have the box set. I never, those things always, obviously that thing didn't start. It didn't start to be a not hiring a thing. She just said not hiring, and once I got into the first one, I realized that
He took a fully automatic gun and made it automatic.
Yeah, I guess an AK. Well, it can be set to fully automatic. Yeah, we don't do a lot of fact checking over there.
So Bertram's coming back.
Bertram's coming back. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. We can get Dave Chappelle to come back as the Wu-Tang Clan. We have Tracy Morgan as Spoony Love from Up Above.
That was also 15 years ago. You got a whole new crop of talent out there. You know what I mean? You got to mind this.
That's right.
New gen.
We got a new gen of people to hop on that as well. All right, Vinny wanted to. Vinny, are we missing anything? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, sugar, grain. Got it. Any revelations? Anything new? Anything we need to know about? Any products we might like? Is there? Let's see. I got my kids finally on the like a high-fat yogurt.
Good. Which one? Do you know?
I think the Siggies. I think is what
triple
we
cream.
try to
Good
look
stuff.
for.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Got Sunny alternating between the eggs and the yogurt. What's a good? Oh God, you'd love this one.
Here we go.
I try. I said. I said, give me the. I said on my rider, just give me some lunch meat. Doing this corporate gig, give me some lunch meat, and some cheese, and some nuts, and they got me a big container of corn nuts. And I just
Says
thought,
nuts.
It says nuts right there, sir.
I always think it's weird. The reason I think it's weird because
Does it or does it not say nuts?
if
Nuts with a Z.
if you wanted corn nuts on your rider, and you simply said, just get me nuts. You could never count on getting corn.
No.
Like if you
You'd
wanted
never get
corn
That's a
nuts,
very specific
you'd
item.
have
You would
to
never have
ask
it.
for corn nuts.
Right.
They always take they take the dumbest, least paid, youngest person on the roster, and they go out and get this stuff, and they inevitably screw it up when they come back. But
I
anyway,
got you a peach puree.
I thought you'd get a kick out of the corn nuts. What is the best? I hate raw nuts, so let's get out of the raw nut
Okay.
department. What is the best baked nut or cooked nut or whatever for that you would want to somebody to put on their yogurt if they were eating their yogurt?
Macadamia nut. Number two, if walnuts taste a lot better, and pecans are great. You can shave those and kind of crunch them up.
I got a good timely question. So Valentine's Day is in a few days. I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
guys are going to do some last minute shopping. Candy is a very popular thing. You know what I mean? If you obviously we're talking about degrees of bad to worse. What can you do to mitigate the NSNG? If you're going to get candy for or some sort of sweets for your sweet, what kinds of things? Not as bad. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to do a little better.
There is
than bad.
no. Not
all
as
bad is
so,
what he's
so
gonna say.
enjoy it. Just it's Valentine's Day. It's one day.
But like you recommend
Go to
the dark
Mrs. C's.
chocolate, right, over the milk
Well,
chocolate. or
yeah, but I mean, what are we doing now? It's like it's
trying to help some guys.
No,
But it's
retarded.
Listen,
it's all bad. It's Valentine's Day. Cheat.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, I mean
On
go
your
bang your
spouse.
neighbor.
No,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I will offer one suggestion to you. I just saw it online. There's a girl on Instagram that goes by Taste Lovely, and she took 2 cans of coconut milk or coconut cream and whipped it and dipped it with strawberries and stuff. It looks awesome. I can't wait to do it. So that might be a good alternative.
I think the answer cheat, eat
Yeah.
chocolate, but it's better to have chocolate than a piece of chocolate cake. Is that correct?
I would just go to Mrs. C's, get the half pound or the 1 pound. Don't get a 3 pound thing that's going to be sitting around for 2 weeks and you're going to keep eating
Grazing
it.
on it,
Get just a small amount and go get the stupid roses and call it a day.
You old romantic, you.
You dumb teddy bear.
Do we have to call them? Here's your stupid roses.
Jesus is the best, man.
These is the best.
All right. Jim Fix, you wanted to talk about. He's a guy who wrote a very popular, best-selling book in the 70s. There was a few trends that took place in the 70s.
Right.
There was, racquetball got hot.
Yeah.
And running got hot.
Yeah.
I think it was the running suit. Somebody came out with something called a track suit. We didn't call them sweatpants.
That's what you're wearing right now.
That's right. We called it a track suit.
Right.
And so it's like, oh.
I'm in a suit.
Yeah.
You can put on a track suit and then you can jog. And also, there were tennis shoes, but there weren't running shoes.
Right.
They just had tennis shoes in the past. And at some point, Nike came out with a running shoe. And then Jim Fix wrote a book about running, and it was the complete guide. To me, it was weird that you had to read. I mean, the book was 300 pages on jogging, which seems weird. But he then keeled over and died, like while he was
While
jogging at
jogging.
52.
Yeah.
And you have some update on this?
Yeah, because I love you and Mark Garagos. I love that show. And I was right above your house in the rain last weekend up at Sierra Madre doing Mount Wilson. And I'm listening to you and Mark, and somehow Jim Fix came up, and, you said, oh, he died at 52. And everyone always goes, oh, yeah, that jogging's not good for you. Look at Jim Fix. Well, the problem with Jim Fix is what people don't know, besides the fact that he was a Mensa member, is that he was also overweight most of his life until he took up jogging and then wrote the famous book. The book is called The Complete Book of Running. Jim Fix was also a 2 or 3 pack a day smoker.
Oh, really?
Up until like 8 years before he died. So you can't roll back that clock.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, once you have that damage, you have that damage. And then after he died, a couple of years later, Kenneth Cooper, who coined the phrase aerobics, wanted to really learn what happened to Jim. And he went and studied the autopsy done on Jim Fix. And he found out that besides being a heavy smoker, he had a stressful life with his job, and he had 2 divorces, and none of that was going well for him. The guy was very stressed out. His father died at 43, and there was congenital heart disease in his family. So besides being obese most of his life, being a multi-pack-a-day smoker for most of his life, it's kind of like what Jack LaLanne said. He goes, if I die, it's bad for business.
Right.
That's what happened to Jim. So a lot of naysayers would go, oh, all that jogging is not really good for you. And then there's another thing that came out a while later. Guys like myself, ultra athletes, guys that go long, really long, they say, look, these guys are having heart problems and they're getting clogged up. So maybe all this exercise is not good for you. The part they're leaving out, and no one's really doing a study on this, is that everybody that goes long is eating nothing but sugar. You're like a kid at a birthday party all day long. And we would like to think of our bodies as being like a car where you put energy in and the exhaust just blows it out. But even though we're burning up all that energy, we're getting the negative effects of sugars and grains the whole time you're riding a bike for 12 or 15 hours, or the whole time you're running for 24 hours, or what have you. You're still a kid at the birthday party for 24 hours, just eating sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar. No one's looking at that. They're going, these people run, and they're dying.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right. My non-scientific approach to running is whenever I see women running, they look miserable. I see like 51-year-old women running, and they have a look on their face.
Slog.
It's just like, oh, I hate my life.
I would love to address that if I can.
Please. Also, how about this for an ultra? And
Go on.
I'll fold this into the Green New Deal. Somebody, instead of doing we crossed the mountain pass and we went through the Gobi Desert or whatever, hook these guys up to a stationary bike that has a generator on
Yeah.
it. You got 10 hours to pedal that bike. It's hooked up to a Prius, and we see who gets the furthest.
I like that.
I like that.
We'll just see who can get that Prius the
Good.
closest
I like
to
that a
Vegas.
lot.
We do it all on like this Santa Monica Pier.
good.
We don't know. You can go fast, you can go slow, you can go hard, you can take a rest, you can step off the bike, whatever it is. But all the same Prius, and we'll see how far they can get.
By the way, I wanted to do a green gym at one time back in the 90s in L.A. where I said, instead of just having all of this energy, on the treadmills and the stair machines and all of them, how about we just catch all of that energy with a generator, throw them into batteries, and we can run the gym on its own energy every day? Why
Right.
not just capture it? Why just send it right back to the company and then buy it again?
Right.
You could just run the gym on it.
Right.
That's the biggest expense of a gym. Everyone I went to told me that was the craziest idea they had ever heard. But
Except for Ed Bagley.
yeah,
Yes.
had I known Ed Bagley, I could have
Ed
gone to
came
him.
in his shorts. Everyone else told him it's a horrible idea. I'm going to tease one for you. I was talking to somebody. I called someone today. The thing about all these earbuds is you call people and you're like, what's going on? Like, I'm banging my wife. Oh, okay.
Carrying on. Yes.
Yeah, let me set my beer down. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, you don't have to answer, but it's not real. It's not a big commitment. You got this little
already there.
earbud. You got your little earbud in your ear, and I call people, and they're doing things. Like, oh, what's going on? I'm in the middle of a liquor store robbery right now. Hold on. I got to lay down on my face. So it's going to be a little muffled. Like, they just answer their phone.
Small bills only. Small bills only.
I called Matt DeAndrea. I called him, and he was in the middle of rowing. He was on his
Awesome.
rowing machine, not old school rowing machine, but like rowing machine. And I said, "Oh, how do you like that rowing machine?" And he said, "The best. I love it. I love it." And I thought, I like the idea of that. And then I thought, I'm going to talk to Vinnie and ask him what he thinks of the rowing machine.
That's my favorite workout.
So you tell us how it ranks to an elliptical or the treadmill or many of the other things. In a second, I'll tease it. I'll tell you right now about, Castrol Edge. Oh, okay, Castrol Edge. You can tweet us your questions at Adam Carolla Show with hashtag Castrol Challenge with your questions for Castrol Challenge. Brought to you by Castrol Edge, formulated with fluid titanium technology. Reduces friction, maximizes engine performance. 3 times.
3 times, fool.
Stronger against viscosity breakdown than full synthetics. You got a question, Max Pata?
Yeah, that's from Instagram. At World Rider wants to know, NASCAR or F1?
Oh, F1. I just like the nuance of the F1. I like the technology of the F1. I like the aesthetic of the F1. But I have the same feeling with F1 that I feel with F fighter, as in F-18s and fighter jets and all that stuff, which is the computer got involved and the computer killed the aesthetic. If you take a look at the fighter jets from like the 60s, and you got the F-4 Phantom and stuff like that, they had a Hurricane, and they had a Typhoon, and they had some P4s, and they had some really killer looking vintage 60s, early 70s stuff, all just written out, drawn out. Everything looked like a bar of soap, because people are like, how do you want to be the most aerodynamic? And they go, well, you got to shape it like a bar of soap, like it'll be cheat to win. And that's how F1 cars used to be too. And then the computer started getting involved. The computer started saying, you got to put all these wings and canards, and this shouldn't go this way, and that shouldn't go that way. And some of it was a little counterintuitive, but the computer in the wind tunnel doesn't lie.
Right.
So then they started shaping these F1 cars. And if you find a modern-day F1 car, Max Zapata, versus one that, Mario Andretti drove, like the Lotus John Player Special in like 1976, it's just such an aesthetically more pleasing car. It's like Playmates from the 70s versus the new ones with the weird tattoos and the fake boobies. All right, so I'm going to go F1 because I like the technology of F1, but I'm old school F1. I like the older looking ones
I know
better.
you like F1 better personally, but do you even like NASCAR? Is that something you're even into? I mean,
I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate these guys running bumper to bumper at the 200 miles an hour, and I just watched a whole doc on Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes to Daytona or whatever. I like all racing. It's sort of like a guy who likes combat sports. Like, you may prefer UFC, but you'll watch a boxing match, or you'll watch some collegiate wrestling or something like if it's on. They're into it. I just have steel wheels and lugs and stuff. It's just kind of old school technology. For me, half the car is technology and the aesthetic, and the other half is the racing part. All right. Anyway, thanks for that, Castrol. Vinnie Tortorich, what are we missing with you?
You were asking me, what was he asking me?
About women running?
Yeah, women running, and why a lot of people, when you see them running, they look like they're in sheer pain.
Oh, yes.
I've been yelling about that for years. The best way to get in shape. Oh, and you asked me about the roar, and I'll talk about that.
Oh, I want to know about that, too.
All right,
yeah.
so the women running, people will go and they run, and they think they're in a Rocky movie where they have to be running at their 90 to 100%, which is zone 4 on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And all you need to do to stay comfortable and to get into the best shape of your life is be in zone 2, which is between 70 and 79% of your aerobic capacity. Now, to make that simple for the audience, take the number 180. I did not say the number 220. This is not a Jane Fonda class.
just
Take
180.
Take 180, subtract your age. So let's take Gina. You take 180 minus 30.
Yeah, 25.
And, all right,
25.
25. And what do you get, Gina?
I'm too dumb. I'm only 25. I don't know.
Okay, you're 55.
Thank you.
So that puts you right in the middle of your zone, too. So
Okay.
155 is where you want to be all the time. So here's the deal. Let's say you go to the gym, you get on the stair machine or the rowing machine or whatever. You get your heart rate to 155. You don't have to get there in 2 seconds. Take 10, 15 minutes to get there. Just warm up. Let your body catch up. Let your lungs heat up. Let your heart open up. Let the mitochondria do what it's supposed to do. Let the Krebs cycle do what it's supposed to do. You know, you wouldn't get in your car, start it up, and just ram it into gear and go. The car wouldn't make it very long. Take your time and do it. Stay in zone 2. Matt D'Andrea is absolutely correct. One of the best indoor workouts you can do is the rower. I love the rower. It's probably it's a full body workout. The problem with the rower is you have to constantly measure yourself because you want to start pulling harder and harder. And since it's built on a wind, you know, the wind is catching the thing. That's where the energy is coming from. It's not linear. The harder you pull, the harder it's going to push back. So you have to make sure you stay measured the entire time. Right? And it doesn't matter if you have it cranked to 10 or a number 1. Where are you on it, Brian?
I actually do it all the way, but obviously it's a little harder that way. I do all the way up, but it's nice because I can isolate like my left arm or my left leg if I have to. I'm doing like rehab.
Right.
Like you can literally just let go with your right hand or take your right foot out the thing. It's not as like complete.
Do you have a
workout, but-
brand of rower you like? It's
Yeah.
also a great Katy Perry song.
The best to get is the Concept 2.
Concept 2.
And you could buy it brand new for $1,100 or $1,200, or you can find them. Even if you find them used, they're going to still be $800-900 because they never break, ever. And if they do break, they will fix it for you.
Matt said he got an old school one, and he got it for like $200, and he just upgraded the computer on
could
it,
do that,
which
yeah.
is a nice money saving tip. All right, James Brolin is here. I've been excited about this for weeks. Max Patty, you have on my list of things to talk about the jetway guy needs to get on the plane. But didn't I talk about that? Done a lot of podcasts, so I'm not sure.
We did go over that.
I actually asked Dylan that same thing. We don't think it was on this show.
It was just.
We talked about it yesterday.
Oh,
It was
The Ferrari
only
dog.
about 14 minutes. So.
Yeah.
All right. Don't consult with Dylan.
That was my bad. Not
Yeah.
Dylan's.
Go.
I was never asked. Gina, were you?
No, I could have told you.
Probably told you.
All right, James Brolin, excited. It's coming up next. First, I'll tell you about Tommy John. Let's get ourselves some Tommy John. I'm wearing myself some Tommy John right now.
That burgundy one.
I won't.
Let's see. Oh, a nice fire engine red.
Yeah.
Look at
Don't
you.
prove it.
Too late. The best, man. Redefining comfort for men and women with luxurious, soft, feather-light, moisture-wicking underwear that moves with you. No pinching, no bunching, no riding up. Still looking for Valentine's Day gift? Try their limited edition longwear and underwear, including matching his and hers sets. Last year, the limited edition stuff sold out in a week, so let's get going. It is the best. It's Tommy John. It's the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. You'll never go back to what you were wearing before you went to Tommy John. Right, Dawson?
Shop limited edition Valentine's Day gift sets. Again, 20% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/Adam. That's TommyJohn.com/Adam for 20% off only at TommyJohn.com. TommyJohn.com.
Vinnie Tortorich, the Netflix. Now, how do we get this going?
Yeah, we started doing this. My movie is at Netflix right now. We're trying to get them to make it a Netflix original. It's also at Amazon and a few other places. We haven't sold it to anyone yet. But then I learned that Netflix has a thing that you could go to. It's called help.netflix.com. You can go there, and on the right side of that page, it says request a movie. And you can request, a documentary. And I would appreciate if everyone would go and do that, because I would like it to be at Netflix. If not, we're talking to other people, and it's going to be everywhere else. But if it ends up at Netflix, I would be happy with that. I would be happy with Amazon Prime also. But two of the biggest players are looking at a documentary right now, and this is a way that we could get more energy behind it.
Well, it's important. It's important to watch it with your family as well. And as long as you're going to look for a movie, check out Not Taco Bell Material. That's my stand-up special. It's playing in 20 cities, February 27th, but only if you make it so. So go to adamcarolla.com/events or tug.com. It's 2 G's, and sign up and get it going in a city near you, and it shall happen. So the people, whether it's Fat, a documentary, or not Taco Bell material, the people must speak. All right. James Brolin in next. We'll do that right after this.
Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Pinellas Park, Florida. A 40-year-old man was arrested for domestic battery after striking his live-in boyfriend with a cup of ramen noodles. Definitely not a Jew.
James Brolin in studio. Been waiting a long time to talk to James Brolin.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I rarely do my homework literally and figuratively. Like, I didn't do any homework in high school, but I did my James Brolin homework. First.
I didn't either. Anyway. By the way, could I
Yes.
interrupt you and
Sure.
say, I have no idea why they invited me over here.
Because
So,
I'm
like-
interested.
All right.
I summoned you. I made it be.
That's very cool.
You're on my dream board. I want to talk to James Brolin. First off, I announced the other week that nobody's born or lives in Westwood, California, but evidently you were born in Westwood,
Well, you did some homework.
California.
Yeah. You know where the Avco Theater is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hospital overlooking the cemetery.
And
wow.
Yeah, and I was born, and they tore it down immediately
We can't have this
and
again.
built a theater. And I thought, well, maybe I'll go into that business, you know.
And I always said me and Dr. Drew are the only two guys in show business that were ever born out here and lived out here our entire life. But I'm now going to add James Brolin to that
That's
list.
cool. Because you know what? We know how to talk to each other.
That's right.
California guys have just like a,
Another
I don't know,
great Katy
there's an
Perry song.
invisible telegraph between them. There's an
So
understanding.
you've just been out here your entire career, your entire life.
Yeah.
SoCal.
Yeah, and every time I go on a location somewhere, I go, I got to buy here and move here. Never have.
Also, somebody sent me a random picture of a Paul Newman, like, C production car that I was interested in because I have a bunch of old Paul Newman race cars. And they sent me this picture of this old car that was up on blocks. It's up on jack stands. And as I was looking at it, I was looking at the Transporter and the Ferrari, which I knew was Newman's. And it says Clint Eastwood, James Brolin, Gene Hackman, Paul Newman on the side of it. Can you explain how that came to be?
This was owned by Ray Ramsey, who owned Ferrari of Monterey. And I guess, Ray was kind of a oddball. And anyway, all five of us went to Bondurant one week.
Hackman and Newman
Yeah.
and all you
Yeah.
guys.
Eastwood.
Eastwood.
Yeah, and Hackman was actually the fastest driver and had the most repairs.
So
He
he
owed him
broke them up.
16 grand when he left that
So you
day.
went to the
and
Bondurant's,
fenders.
Bob Bondurant,
Yeah.
still with us, by the way, and
Yeah.
part of the famous Bondurant driving school. So you all
And
went out.
where was that?
Probably at Riverside back
No,
then.
no.
Arizona?
It was just North Bay, San Francisco.
Oh, really?
What is that? What is that called? It's up and down, turn left, turn right.
Laguna
track.
Seca.
No, the one north of the bay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The ones in
anyway.
Napa,
best-
Sonoma
Sears,
Raceway.
Sears Point,
Sears
Sonoma.
Point, exactly,
Okay, sorry.
Sears Point.
Thanks, Brian.
If you got any
Yeah.
racing questions, you direct them this way. and I'll help you out.
Sears Point. It's called Infineon. It's like had a few different names, but
Yeah.
it was Sears Point.
It's a good track
It's
to
a-
learn on.
It's a technical, difficult track.
Very.
It's got some change of elevation and some off-camber turns. And
So
yes.
anyway, we got out of there, and I got a call from Bondurant. Said, if you'd have started a younger kid, you'd have been a really good driver.
How old are
So-
you at this point? When
70. I mean,
when
it
Bondurant.
was 73, or I was 33 or 34.
And Clint Eastwood and
He was with us,
Hackman and Newman are all. They're some of the biggest male leading stars in the world,
Yeah,
right?
and Hackman lived in Monterey at the time, and Eastwood lived in Monterey, and I was a friend of Eastwood's, and I met Ray Ramsey up there, and I forget, my dentist, Jim Penna, was there with us, and I forget who else, but there are 5 or 6 guys. And when we came back, I got a call from Ray Ramsey, who said, I want you to drive for me. And I said, do what? Why? And he said, I've got this Fiat 131, which was the world champion rally car, and we're going to start to IMSA campaign it, and I want you to drive. So I spent the next at least 6 months on weekend, every other weekend, going somewhere and having the thing blow up on me or have a wheel fall off or something.
Right.
And
I heard you did the 12 hours of Sebring and hit a pig.
Yeah, well, that was later on when I was driving for B.F. Goodrich. I drove for Renault. I drove for B.F. Goodrich for 5 years. And
Some of it's
anyway,
a big part of your life.
For 5 years, it was a major thing, and I'm doing a series at the same time. So, but I was going on the weekends.
You were doing, let's see, what year was that? I'm looking down. It was earlier than Hotel.
Yeah,
right?
it was Marcus Welby.
Marcus Welby.
Yeah.
So you're working full time as an actor, and then you're driving. You're sort of doing what Newman did, but Newman made features, so he didn't have the full time schedule.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Did you spend much time with Newman?
I did. I raced against him at Connecticut at
Lime Rock.
Lime Rock, yeah. A few times.
That was kind of his home track.
Yeah,
so it was tough
and
to beat him.
Of course, he was always up in the front, and I was always near the back. But a lot of these races were where we had 3 drivers too. We would
like endurance stuff.
Yeah.
I want to.
Nürburgring was the apex.
I want to talk about that because I love cars and I love this whole story. And but we're here to plug Life in Pieces, so I should tell people that is coming back. The sitcom. On CBS, and its 4th season is coming back soon. I don't think we have a date yet.
No, we don't have a date. Actually, we've been shooting, and Candace Bergen's show. What was the name of it?
Murphy Brown?
Murphy Brown, yeah, came back and didn't do well. Replaced us for some reason. We're in the top 20. So there. Here's the reason, actually, is Fox owned half the show and CBS owned half, and all these networks like to own the whole show
Sure.
now. So they stuck something in there that they owned all of, and it's not working, and I think they've replaced even them now, and then we're coming back on in the summer. I don't know how permanent that is or what. I got a good series in my head right now for the next one. So,
Diane, you're married to Diane Weiss in it, right?
Yeah.
I find her fetching, and I mean, I fell in love with her when I saw Parenthood.
She's the best.
And she was the mom, and she's like, "Oh, Gary, Gary," like she was
beleaguered.
That movie that was sort of a crimes and misdemeanors of a Ron Howard effort, which is like it had so much going on, lots of comedy, a lot of pathos, a lot of like her relationship with her troubled son, and just.
A young Joaquin Phoenix.
Young Joaquin Phoenix, and it was just such I fell in love with her in that movie, and I probably loved her in every other thing.
And I love her now. She's just a pistol.
I'm such a fan. So you grow up out here. What do your parents do out here back in the day?
Well, that's a good one. My dad, actually, when I was born, he had moved out with his parents, who were candy and cake bakers, to Pasadena to open this very popular candy and cake, just an outlet. It was just a bakery. Anyway, because it was a local school, my dad was smart enough to get into Caltech and became one of their honor students and was plucked out of Caltech as an engineer to figure out why the DC-3 was vibrating apart on Donald Douglas.
Yeah, commercial aircraft.
He ended up going over there, becoming chief engineer they were all built at Santa Monica. And so that was his first career. Then I remember later he was saying to me that, these guys, these big wigs, they put you to work, they take all the credit, and they leave you in the dirt, He was plucked out of there by Bill Lear, who's the first guy ever to put a radio in a car, radio in an airplane, perfected the autopilot. My dad worked for him for a while.
Lear Jets?
Yeah. But at that time it was Lear Avionics.
Do you know that he has a daughter, I believe, who I met, who's named Shanda?
That's right.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
How would they do that?
He named his daughter Shanda, and
Chandelier.
she is now Chandelier.
Well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's a smart move. Like I feel like you're leaving money on the table
right.
if you don't name
Yeah,
your
take
last name is
advantage.
Lear, and you don't go with Shanda. But
Yeah,
her name
you're
is
doing it wrong.
Shanda. So your dad was an avionics guy, or a constructor, an engineer. It worked in that world,
In that world until
which was
he
big
went.
out here for many, many years.
He went to work at his third career was going to work here in Glendale for Whammo.
the
with
toy
the-
manufacturer.
Yeah, with the hula hoop. And,
Wow.
Wow, the Hudsucker proxy. That's him.
Yeah, because he was an inventor also. Then he designed a thing that made the Cole snap-on bathing suit bra.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, it was a wired
Yeah.
bra, and you just snap it on, and there was no ties or anything. So he made the machine that made the wires and everything. And then he started studying geology and got enamored with the Lost Dutchman mine in Arizona. So we moved to the Superstitions for a couple of years. While he's up there, and he ended up owning silver and tungsten because that at this time that would be worth maybe $50 billion in gold.
Wow.
It was old
Renaissance
Peralta
man.
gold that was lost in an earthquake in a cave.
God, your dad is super Renaissance-y.
Well, then he went broke.
They always go broke. Why do you have to go
romantic part of the
broke?
story.
Came back to L.A. Somehow we lived in Brentwood, a nice area, and he started building houses one at a time. And then he started building complexes of apartments. And so he had like 5 careers. So I remember going, he'd say, "You want to go with me today?" Yeah, this was a rarity. And I'd get in the car and go with him, and he'd get there, and he'd say, "Wait in the car," and he'd go in this house, and he'd be there 2 hours and come out, and I don't know where he was, but we can guess.
You had a gal?
Could be. I don't know. I never knew, but that was my outings with my dad. He did what he wanted to do. He took me fly fishing, which he wanted to do, so I learned to fly fish. He took me on a lot of things that he wanted to do, and so even though he's an asshole, I got a lot out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Courage. I go, well, if he can do that, I can do that,
Well, you're licensed pilot, right?
Yeah.
And you have a background in some building and some construction.
I do.
Some of the stuff that I enjoy very much. I'm very
I own
strongly into that.
a lumber yard for the last 40 years that we started on a whim just to try and get wholesale lumber for a project
Really?
Yeah.
Where's the lumber yard?
in San Luis Obispo.
Wow. I was taking a deep dive on James Brolin, and I started finding out all this super interesting stuff. So for you grow up out here. Your dad's dynamic, but it's that kind of thing where it's like he's a great guy, but not for a dad. Like, I think, can we all recognize, I may be one of those dads. Like, I'm a good...
I may
We
be
can
also.
recognize.
Yeah, no, I am too.
Sounds cool to hang out and watch a game and have a beer with this guy, but not full time. So
That's right.
You unfortunately, your dad's full time with you, like the world's greatest drinking buddy and the world's greatest wingman and the world's greatest, literally wingman and
He built the
figuratively
wing.
wingman,
Yeah.
but not dad, right?
Exactly.
So-
I mean, I watch him and I want to, and I couldn't help but mimic him in a lot of things. But as far as a buddy, no, I don't depend on it.
So what do you do? Where do you go to high school?
Uni.
Uni, which is out here.
Barrington and Wilshire there, and I
And-
went to Brentwood, and all around that area.
So
right?
what's the plan back in the day? Like, what is your dad? Does he have hopes and dreams for you, or is it just wait in the car while I bang my guma?
The only thing I ever heard is, just get into college and get a law degree. You'll be able to walk into any door you want. Doesn't matter
Right.
what business you go into. Got a law degree, you got it made. So let's see. I'm trying to figure my first inkling as an actor. Well, actually, a couple of buddies in school, Jan Barry and Dean Torrance, became Jan and Dean.
Jan and Dean.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah.
I remember the day they came to Jan's father and my father were friends, so I had a little association with them because of that. And both both fathers bought the first Ampex recorder ever made in a box it looked like a little suitcase.
Right.
And you open it up and there's 2 reels. And
Right.
well, Jan's dad had one. So Jan, what happened?
There they are.
Here with
Look at
us.
that.
Yeah.
Cool.
She had a confection store in Pasadena.
Go, Granny, go.
Go, Granny, go. Yeah.
So look at this.
I know,
Look at
we're
that
good.
Fast.
So you're friends with Jan and Dean.
Yeah, and so they had a piano in the garage. Jan put thumbtacks in the hammers, so it had a different sound, and he learned C, F, and G7th, the 3 rock and roll chords, and they did a song called Jenny Lee, and they put it out to the radio stations. And came to school one day with a bag full of dimes, handing every called KFWB. Remember KFWB?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah.
News
Now it's
98
news,
is
yeah.
now.
And request this tune. Well, it became number 1, at least in California. It was number 1.
They're coming to high school. This is still in
This
high
is-
school?
Yeah. We're 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, now there was obviously Dead Man's Curve was a hit of theirs, and then there's a very tragic accident where
Yeah.
Jan
Jenny Lee.
That's right. He hit like a gardener's truck in like a flatbed truck in like a Corvette or something. He was severely injured.
He was a fast driver, obviously. Loved his fast cars and drove them hard every day. He was in a Corvette, and he was at Dead Man's Curve, which is the big curve just entering UCLA on Sunset. You know,
Right.
that big.
Sure.
And a semi or a tanker was turning left, and he went under it. And he was 4 years old after that.
Well, how old was he during the accident? Like
He-
early
He
20s?
was, yeah. Yeah,
They
early-
got started
early
early.
20s.
Yeah, they made there's been at least 1 or 2 like TV movies about the sort of life and times of Jan and Dean. So
And Jan was so smart. He was not only did he parlay that into several albums, but he was about to graduate from California Medical School with an MD degree.
before the accident.
During the accident, yeah, I think he was
Wow.
in the last year of med school.
So-
and going out every weekend to concerts, you know.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll talk about the Beach Boys and the Ripcords a little bit later, but
Yeah,
I want
they
to
were
get
all
back to
buddies.
James. I want to get back to James Brolin here. So,
Okay.
you know some showbiz guys a little bit,
Yeah.
and there's a little dabbling. What would your dad think about you if you announced you wanted to act?
10,000 to 1 chance against you.
Right. So
Law
he's
degree is reversed.
right. So he wants you to go out and do something a little more pragmatic
Oh,
than
yeah.
act.
Oh, yeah.
So when does the acting begin?
Well, I'll tell you what he did. He said, okay, you start at UCLA, and I'll pay for your gas and your lunches. So I was at UCLA for about 6 months as a theater arts major. And that was my second. I was first at Santa Monica City College and then transferred to UCLA. When he gave me a bill, he said, here's how much you owe me so far. Ooh. That changed my life. That changed my life. Then my dad was really an asshole from then on.
Well, he was hard up
That-
for money.
that's-
He was broke.
That's who I play in Life in Pieces. You know, I'm trying to parlay this image. You know, you can't. You love him. He's your dad. You know, you love all, and I now love all the things that he taught me. But to hand me a bill, that really changed my life and might have literally made my career. But because I went to, okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm an actor now, and I got a commercial with Dodge driving a truck. As a matter of fact, they approached me on the street.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
wasn't it a time? I mean, you were a strikingly handsome young man. It was time when people would discover very aesthetically strong-looking male and females, and probably, I mean, you know, Paul Giamatti had to earn his way onto the screen.
Now that's in fashion.
Right, but back then we just went, look, it's not rocket science. You got to memorize a couple of lines.
Yeah.
We don't need a ton of emoting. Get the best looking people we can find and just tell them to hit their mark. And someone discovered you. I mean, you were just walking down the street.
Walking down the street, somebody said, "Would you be interested in doing a commercial?" And I went, "I wouldn't have to talk, would I?" I literally said that. And they said, matter of fact, not. You just, we got a cowboy hat and driving a Dodge truck. That's all. So I did the thing. And then they called, this was BBD&O, the largest company in America for commercials, right? And they called me back to do another one, right? Kind of like a sequel, the same guy driving the truck. And when I was there, an agent came up to me and said, well, they seem to like you, you know, we'd like to represent you. So the next thing I know, I'm doing a Gallo wine commercial. And the Screen Actors Guild is saying, okay, well, you're not Taft-Hartley anymore. You owe us $600 for membership, or you can never work again. I said, but they just paid me $400, which after taxes was $250. Where am I going to get $600?
Yep.
This is a losing business.
Well,
yes. Yeah. So you want me to go on?
I do. So,
okay, then I went off to, then I heard about a friend of my dad's who was building, my dad was building a house. My dad helped develop Truesdale Estates here.
Yeah.
And this guy was producing a movie.
Truesdale Estates, by the way, some of the most expensive real estate in California.
And there was a day where, you know, they just cleared the trees. It was a half mile by a half mile of just dirt on a hill. Now it's the most expensive property in town. But anyway, one of these guys was producing Mutiny on the Bounty. And then Marlon Brando is like in it and everything. So I approached the guy and he said, yeah, you'd be good to play Brando's son in the movie. So I'm off to Tahiti to play Brando's son, and throughout the next year in Tahiti, I'm in the movie, out of the movie. The movie's postponed because of rains and monsoon, and so I spend a year in Tahiti. I come back home, and I'm parking cars on La Cienega, Lowry's and Dino's.
Yeah.
Lowry's still there.
Lowry's still there.
Yeah. And I get an appointment. Oh, I go and see this this agent that said, you know, we'd be interested in you. And they said, oh, we'd like to get you an appointment over at Fox tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. They're looking at some young people. That morning at 10 o'clock, I went under contract for 7 years to Fox. And I'm just 19. I'm just about 20. It was like June of 1960 or something.
Did your I probably know the answer to this, but does your dad ever come around? Does he ever see on Marcus Welby or my favorite Trapped?
Well, he died
in a
a while back.
With Dobermans.
But he used to call and make reservations under Brolin.
There it is.
Oh,
yeah, James Brolin need a table for 4 tonight, and he started using the hell out, and coming to the studio where we're shooting, and I go, well, okay, I know him. He'll last about an hour. He'll be gone. But he was never a problem. After that, he was just proud, and as a young kid, I got a little pissy because now the table's reversed.
Right.
Look at you groveling,
Well, I mean, and then you have Josh, of course.
Yeah.
Who I did the Toyota. I think I did the Toyota Grand Prix the first year I did the Celebrity Toyota Grand Prix with him, and he was rambunctious. I would label him as rambunctious.
He's aggressive. I have 2 sons. One is so laid back and lazy and probably the happiest of all of us. And Josh is so aggressive.
I remember at a certain point they
give
said,
you a hot foot.
I said, they would say, so what was happening is everyone was going out to Willow Springs and they would stay at Willow Springs, which is 100 miles in the desert, because they had to do this driving school that was like due Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, and everyone stayed at a hotel, and they'd party their asses off, and all sorts of hijinks would occur. Now, I had to work at night, so I was going back and forth and back and forth. I never played, but one day, I think the day before the race, one of the guys, I think you'd probably find a picture of this. He was an announcer. It was Steve. I can't think of his name, but he's down in the lobby, and everyone had trained for weeks to do this race, and he's like, I'm out of the race. I'm like, what happened? He's like, dislocated my shoulder. I'm like, what happened? Me and Josh Brolin and some of the other guys were drinking in a hotel room. We started wrestling. like Josh dislocated my shoulder. I was like, he's going to take everyone out of this race with his own hands. And I thought, that's why I didn't go up to the room. Like, I remember everyone's like, we're going up to the room, we're getting drunk. I was like, I don't want to wrestle.
That's a story that not only surprises me, but I hadn't heard, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Steve, it was the first year I did it. He was a local sports guy. And anyway, he ended up in a sling with a dislocated shoulder.
Josh is like, one down.
The average age was like 37 and a half when this fight went down. I mean,
great.
it was good-natured wrestling.
Scrapping.
I don't judge,
Yeah.
but I thought Josh is a go-for-it kind of guy.
Yeah, I pity the guy that picks on him in a bar, but he's not an aggressive type of guy.
He got into a bar fight on the set of while they're shooting W, right? Like, didn't he get arrested in Texas?
Was that the one up in Louisiana?
Louisiana, somewhere he was on location, and he was.
But I think that had to do with somebody in the bar being kicked out who shouldn't have been kicked out.
Okay, I just remember hearing the story
I think
that
he
there
was
trouble on set.
defending a guy who was
okay.
being messed with unfairly.
Wow.
Yeah.
James won the
that guy.
second one in '78, by the way. James. Oh, sorry, the second Toyota Grand Prix they ever ran.
Did, yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
Steve Hartman was the guy who got his arm dislocated by Josh up in the room. It's unclear who dislocated his shoulder. All I know is those guys went up in the room to drink and wrestle.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I'm sleeping at home tonight.
So I did. That reminded me of a race. Let's see. I started driving Le Car, the homologated Le Car, which was just faster than snot.
That's the turbo. Powered.
And that was at Riverside.
Mid-engine one.
And my French partner for Renault was killed in that race. Lost it and slid sideways and hit the wall like a karate chop.
Wow.
Just snapped his neck.
That was your driving partner that race?
Yeah.
In your car?
Yeah, well, we were both.
Right, you're taking turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the LA Times endurance race they probably had
That's
at
right.
Riverside. They had like the whatever. I think they just called it the LA Times Grand Prix or whatever. It's like an 8-hour endurance race at Riverside, which was a huge, big track out here. And
then I believe I drove for Jack Kent Cook the 934. Was
934,
the twin Porsche?
935 was the twin. And I was about
935.
to tell you that Rolf Stumlin died in a 935 at Riverside. He drove with Newman at Le Mans, then died a short period of time later at Riverside in a 935 as well.
And you know what? I was at Sebring. This was after I hit the pig that night, and I was practicing. I was going through the chicane. And it was just after dark, or at dark, which is the toughest time on a track. You can't see, you can't judge well. And suddenly, in the dust, I see what looks like a hog. I mean, a 400-pound hog. And it was a pet that somebody had brought, because, the whole center of the track is loaded with motorhomes and drunks.
Right.
Well, they brought their pet hog, right? And the hog got loose.
Yeah.
And it's running across the track at the chicanes, and I go, this mother is going to scoop right up this Porsche hood and right through the windshield and take my head off unless I get this thing sideways.
It's
So I hit the brakes, and I did what I did, and guess what? It caught the front of the left tire and ripped the A-arm and the tire completely off.
The 924 Porsche he's driving is low with a long
Wasn't
front
it a V8?
hood. No.
No?
No.
It was a 6.
No, it's a 4.
Really?
With a turbo.
I don't remember that, but it was a
We'll look
fast
it up.
little car.
I didn't drive it.
He'll remember
But
for
I'm
you.
telling you, I'll
Don't you
remember.
worry.
I'll remember 4. It was a turbocharged 4, but don't get mired in 6 or 4 or 8 in race car trim because they have F1 cars with 4 cylinders with 800 horsepower. It's all how they put the turbo on it, but it's a long, low front hood. It's like a wedge. So if it hit a pig, the pig's coming right through the windshield.
And that decision had to be made in how many milliseconds?
Oh yeah, milliseconds. And I was but I was just amazed that tire and A-arm just passed me like nothing. And then the truck drivers later brought this cooked hog in the morning to me and said they found him in a ditch, rolled over, and there wasn't a mark on his skin. That's why they make footballs out of these bastards.
The truck drivers?
No, the tow truck guys. There are lots of tow truck guys on the track. Yeah.
All right, that 924 that Mr. Brolin drove at Sebring should have had a 2.2 or 2.4 liter 4-cylinder with a turbo.
Amazing.
Charger on it. You confirmed that.
So anyway, to finish the story, the next morning, the car was fixed like new, same car. These guys got that car together so fast it was unreal, and I drove that day, and it was on the straightaway at Sebring, which is a long runway.
Yeah, it's an airport.
7,000-foot runway, okay? So you come out and you go onto there, and you finally, you can shake your hands and loosen up and drive with one finger and put your foot in it and get up to 190 miles an hour. Problem is there's a flag down there that says you're not going to make that U-turn unless you downshift right now. Oops.
Yeah,
I
they
just
have
passed it.
braking markers.
Yeah, I just passed it. Oh, God. Oh, boy. I quit that day. I go, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
And I quit that day. That was 5 years of driving. I went, they keep putting me in these cars that are way over my head. I started in, in the Fiat 131. I still belong in there, or a Mini Cooper.
And you had a driving partner in Riverside, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Before, I don't know, I'm going to tease this, but I wonder if they'd had a Hans device, the head and neck restraint system back then. I'm wondering if he would have made it.
I don't believe so. Yeah, it's very possible.
Because he snapped his neck, obviously.
I mean, he hit, like a karate chop. He hit that car against a wall exactly, the front, no more than the back.
Right, just
like
slammed it. Just slapped it.
And his head neck took all the force then.
Let me tell you about Scott Turf Builder, and then we'll get on to other James Brolin subjects. Easy to get the lawn of your dreams by simply feeding your lawn a few times throughout the year. Feed your lawn 4 times a year for a thick, green, and lush lawn. Help to crowd out those pesky weeds and create a greener, stronger, more resilient lawn. Scott's no quibble, money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, you'll get your money back. Once in early spring, late spring again, summer, and then in fall, and you get a greener, stronger lawn all year long.
I need some of this stuff. Send me some of this stuff. I got a patchy lawn. You know what I mean? I got to even it out, make it all nice and green and lush.
Take it, Scott's, and send some to Bald Brian over there so we can be the envy of his cul-de-sac.
I'll post pics.
Start your Scott's Turf Builder program today. This is Scott's. This is a Scott's yard, everybody. All right. Talked a lot about cars. You're living with Babs now in Malibu, right?
22 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How many square feet in?
What?
How many square feet is the home?
It's about 8,000 plus the garage in the office.
That's a lot of Scott's Turf Builder.
Yeah.
Cozy.
Yeah. Oh no, we got lots of lawn. There's no doubt about
I don't
that.
doubt it.
Yeah.
I always hear this story.
But Javier has it just so beautiful. Say, Javier.
I heard the story that there's a shopping mall on the premise.
Such bullshit.
Really?
There was an off-Broadway and possibly Broadway show called Buyer Seller about this.
Well, it's not really total bullshit, but here's the deal.
Partial bullshit.
Here's the deal. We decided with the lot next door that we were going to build a barn, look like a Connecticut barn, and move over there, right? And we built it, and we still have it. But in it, we did a basement, and I had been. This was really my wife's idea, but I had been to in Atlanta Underground, they used to call it. Do you remember that?
No.
Underground. It was one of the first underground. Like in Boston and some of the Canadian cities, you can go shopping underground while the weather's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, there was no such thing then. But so Atlanta Underground was really unique. You could go down and would shop, and there'd be bars and things like that. So I went, like in the basement, wouldn't it be great if the doors were, it looked like a shopping street. And it's really just rooms. And one bedroom is called the antique shop because it's got old furniture and old decoration, and another, she collects dolls. So there's the doll shop there. But it's no more than a gorgeous storage room.
And no one's being employed.
No.
There isn't a janitorial staff.
No, as a matter of fact, the neighbors at one point said, we know that you're going to, begin to bring in the public and sell jams and jellies and things, because it looks like a farm.
Built in corners. By the way, the 924 Carrera GTR 2-liter motor with the turbocharger on it, making robust 375. Horsepower, 299 foot-pounds of torque. Price was $75,000 back in the day.
1981.
You mean from a dealer?
I don't know Stuttgart. I don't know where you got.
There
You
were
could-
only
that
17
sounds-
made, and and none of them were sold like for street. So
They're
all
not.
raced.
They're not street
I
legal
see.
version of it. But Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
What about the fires? The fires jumped PCH for
They
the
did.
first
They're
time.
pretty horrible. I don't know
ever.
if anybody's been over Canaan, but it looks like a war zone. It looks like elephant skin with a couple of hairs sticking out, you know.
Did
It
you?
was-
Did it? You're on the other side of PCH. I mean, on
Yeah.
the ocean side.
Yeah, we're on the top of the cliff.
Did it get
there.
near you?
5 houses away, burnt
Oy.
down, and then a house 12 feet from that wasn't even scorched. So a lot of it had to do with the direction of winds and Venturi effect up canyons and between houses, and
Were you guys
we were-
evacuated?
yeah, we were. Well, they wouldn't let us back in for two weeks. 12 days I was gone. And, if I hadn't been with my wife, I probably would have been like the surfer boys and a few of the fathers. That 50 guys stayed there and helped put out and save other houses.
Yeah.
But,
So some of
right,
them
right
got-
now I'm surprised that the insurance companies are coming in and really, you know how they usually screw you? They're putting out money because guess what? Malibu's not going to burn for 10 years, so it's a cash cow for the insurance companies, and they're bending over backwards to make things right. I'm surprised.
I gotta say, there's something. There's something. Every time I go to the ocean, I make the same announcement I make when I have there's an egg salad sandwich or fish and chips. I go, I got to do this
Why
more
don't I do
often.
this more often?
Why am I always eating turkey? Whenever I go to the ocean, especially that stretch of the ocean, you just
Pristine.
look at it, you just go, God. But then if you lived here, maybe you'd be too sane. Like, do you ever go somewhere? Like if you go to, like I was saying, Laguna Seca before, and you go to Monterey, at some point you're driving around and you go, there's a Monterey High School. And then you go, imagine that's your high school.
St. Helena
Monterey.
High School, right in the middle of St. Helena wine country.
Right.
There's
And you
no
go,
high school here.
but then maybe you'd be too sane. Like
Would you
maybe
even
there wouldn't
know?
be enough adversity.
Yeah.
Maybe you need the bully. Maybe
I
you need
was-
Jan and Dean.
And Jan and Dean, of course, were surf-oriented. So at 15, somebody drove me out to Malibu, and I went, whoa, look at this. And all Velzy and, all the great surfers were at Malibu Pier in those days. And it was all, there was not much traffic on the Coast Highway. And anyway, by 16, I was out there parking cars at a place called The Raft and the Tongale, which is now Nobu.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
Sure.
And there was a thing called the Pier View in between where they had sawdust on the floor. So same place, Nobu.
Wow.
And I parked cars there for years and surf. I was a poor surfer. Josh is a great surfer, but I was a poor surfer. But I couldn't give up Malibu. And 22 years ago, have met this dame that owned a house out there.
Well, you guys seem like a very unlikely couple.
Not true.
I'm sure it's been said before.
Yeah,
I don't
it may
mean
be
that.
true.
I don't mean that as a pejorative. I just mean you seem like an unlikely couple. So, are you a big Barbra Streisand fan before you meet Barbra Streisand?
I saw her. It's so funny because I've always loved lady and girl singers, right? But I was kind of unaware. She was just kind of like I was aware of her. And then one day I saw her she did a free concert in the park with 150,000 people. I don't know if you remember back in the 70s or something. And I went, she's got a good voice, but I love what she says between songs. Mm-hmm. And I went, let me earmark that, And I passed her a couple of times at award shows and nodded, and she was busy and went by. She may have looked and looked away, but it wasn't until I had been divorced for about five years and was living at the marina in a little apartment. And somebody said, "What would you think about dating Barbra?" No, what would you think about dating me? They said. And they called a friend of mine, actually. I said, tell her I'm going out of town. So she called back the next day and said, what would you think about dating my friend Barbra Streisand, and I go, oh yeah, I remember that earmark. Yeah, let me check that out. So we're both that night on our way to a party that's literally created for us, of 3 tables of 10 people out on a porch on a beautiful July night overlooking the Bel Air golf course.
You had
Just
no
at somebody's
choice but
house.
to fall in love at that point.
Well, anyway, I'm on my way, and I pick up the phone going, who needs this? And I dial, and it's ringing, and she's on her way from cutting Mirror Has Two Faces, which she just directed and starred in. And the editors are waiting at the studio while she goes to this stupid party, right? And she picks up the phone and goes, I need this, like a hole in the head. And we both went, nah, I'll go. So we ended up showing up there and just very stilted and everything. And it wasn't until I had to always dyed my hair, during hotel, really dark, and had them make it look real Italian, like curly and everything. And somebody said, why don't you just get real, dude, So I shaved it all off right down to here, except there was little copper endings on there.
Mm-hmm.
We were 29 people sitting at this dinner, and she walked up. She was downstairs with the kids. I'm going, where is this woman, She comes up, and she comes around me, and she goes, who fucked up your hair? And I went, oh, man, somebody's telling the truth here. This is what I liked at the concert, So anyway, it was love right from that moment. It was like, God, I trust this person. And she is incapable of lying.
Was that her way of flirting with you, or she was at that point not sure?
No, it's just truth.
That's great.
She just is. I mean, if you ever hear any stories about her, believe her and not whoever's telling the story, because she's incapable of lying. And I'm a good liar.
All right, we'll take ourselves a quick break. We'll come back and we'll do the news with James Brolin right after this.
News with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
This half of the show brought to you by Simply Safe at simplysafe.com/Adam and BetOnline at betonline.ag. Enter Podcast 1. Let me tell you quickly about Simply Safe. No one should feel unsafe in their home. Let's say you're walking the grounds of your basement mall. And let's say the Wetzel's Pretzels is
Giving out free samples.
giving out free samples. All of a sudden, you hear glass break on the 3rd floor. What do you
What do you do?
You need Simply Safe. That's what you need. Simply Safe. Blankets your home and safety around the clock. Professional monitoring makes sure police are on the way when you need them. The Verge calls Simply Safe the best home security, and it's a Wirecutter top pick. Protect your home today and get free shipping. It's simplysafe.com. No drilling, no pulling wires, peel and stick, up and running in under an hour. Go online, 2 I's, SIMPLI, simplysafe.com/Adam, and get started today at simplysafe.com/Adam. All right, Gina, the news, and James, just hang in and tell us whatever you think.
Well, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the Mexican drug lord who pocketed nearly $14 billion as the decades-long head of the murderous Sinaloa cartel, was found guilty Tuesday of all 10 federal criminal counts against him, including engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise, conspiracy to launder narcotics proceeds, international distribution of cocaine, heroin, marijuana, and other drugs, and use of firearms. By the way, speaking about the firearms, some of the testimony said that he had gold-plated AK-47s, diamond-encrusted pistols, and, of course, the alleged $100 million payment to a former Mexican president. Guzman faced...
The gold-plated AK-47 seems impractical.
Yes.
It's bad business. It's
I
heavy.
agree.
If you're going to get business done, you don't want the gold plating.
He faces a mandatory sentence of life. He's due to be sentenced in June, and the partially sequestered and anonymous jury deliberated roughly 34 hours over 6 days.
What about the $100 million he gave to the former president? Is that guy seeing any time? And it doesn't seem, it kind of came and went, that story.
It's just kind of like a funny little add-on, but yeah, the Mexican government doesn't seem to be making a huge deal out of it.
Oh, they have a government now? They get a government. Someone is talking about getting some of that money, by the way, back from him. I'm not sure where it all resides.
Reparations.
Yeah, we know where $100 million of it went, but be curious to find out what happened to that Presidente.
Well, and when they were describing the scene in the courtroom, it sounded like a TV movie. They said, he looked at his wife and gave her a thumbs up, and she quietly, with tears running down her face, gave him a thumbs up. And
That's
it was
a
just,
loyal wife.
Yeah,
man.
very, very like a fiction.
Who are the guys who dug the tunnel to get him out the first time? Those guys are
dedicated,
crackerjacks. Like those are the guys you want working for you.
Yeah.
Those guys tunneled, hundreds of feet. If you really think about that process, it's not like they can get a big coring machine or the thing that dug the tunnel in there. You pretty much coffee cans and you're on your belly
Spoons.
with a flashlight in your mouth, and you got to go hundreds of feet. And you got to lay down tracks.
Yeah,
like they
that's
built
impressive, man.
they went full Harriet Tubman.
Is that what it's called?
There wasn't an actual underground
I
railroad.
didn't realize.
The rail
look
wasn't,
it up.
wasn't actually
Look it up.
Feet.
It wasn't
Look it up.
subterranean.
Figurative.
Brian, look it up.
Okay,
I don't want to embarrass you
know
now.
what? I'll look it up.
You look it up.
Google it.
You Google it.
Well, there's some
Use my app. Google me right.
some semi-breaking news about the bullet train that has been in the news for years now. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced on Tuesday he is pulling the plug on the state's massive high-speed rail project from L.A. to San Francisco. It's more than a decade behind schedule, billions in the red.
By the way, you go, whoever could have foreseen this coming?
Sure, yeah.
Everybody but Governor Brown
From the
said this
day
was
they
a
announced it.
horrible
Fact checked
idea.
out, yeah.
Everybody said this was a horrible
Yeah.
idea. But we only lost $20 billion, so that's how you learn.
Is this one in the plus column for old Gavin Newsom?
Well, don't
for you?
worry.
Yes.
Don't worry, there's
Yes,
more.
it is.
Newsom added that while California has the capacity to complete a high-speed train between Merced and Bakersfield,
Oh, boy.
there simply isn't a path to get to from Sacramento to San Diego, let alone San Francisco to L.A. The embattled $77 billion bullet train has been an embarrassment for the Golden State, according to Fox News, and has been plagued by problems from the start. The idea, long championed by Newsom's predecessor, Jerry Brown, is years behind schedule with the latest estimate completion for 2033.
Ugh. It's just let Uber take over and Elon Musk and let them build the vertical cars with the blades and let them figure it out.
Yeah.
That's not to let the government. They screw up everything
Yeah.
they touch.
Give
They can't be
Elon
in
the
charge.
77 million.
Billion.
Yeah, that's
Whatever it
they're in the
takes.
business,
Yeah.
the boring company.
Exactly.
Right.
He'll do it with it. Also, I don't know if you heard about the cab companies all want to put the the light up advertisements now on their cars because they can make another $300 a month because that business is dying because of Uber and Lyft.
Yeah.
And the cops are saying no, it's a distraction. But these guys will absolutely go out of business soon. Cabs do not seem necessary anymore. It is a vestige of the
No,
past.
I don't think anyone's going to own a car
Yeah.
pretty soon. It's just going to be this whole sort of sharing thing. And if you really think about it, the biggest pain in the ass, especially in L.A., and expense and everything, is parking.
Yep.
You go to a Rams
Yep.
game, it's $150 to park during the playoffs, or it's $75 like in preseason. You got to go way down a dicey street. I mean, imagine, or you want to go to a cool upscale restaurant downtown around.
Mr. Brolin parked cars throughout his entire 20s.
knows.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, ask an expert.
I went down to Malibu. I went down to the thing, brought the kids, and blah, blah, blah. It was $50 just to park in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And imagine just being dropped off everywhere
It's the best.
Great.
and drunk. You'd be,
That really
Obviously.
ups the ante.
yes. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
You're absolutely right. Yeah,
Nah,
you're
keep
right.
going. Yeah, yeah.
Kareem Hunt.
But I'm
Back
glad
in
he
the
pulled.
news.
I'm glad Gavin. Look, I don't get along with Gavin Newsom, but if he's going to pull the plug on a bullet train that's been a tremendous waste of time, then good for him, and I applaud him for that. And We should not be done with Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown was told 1,000,000 times this was a bad idea, and he was like, we'll raise money in the private sector. It's like nobody's investing. Here's the thing. You can't get the private sector to go in on this because the private sector needs a return on their investment. They don't have an unlimited slush fund of money that they can waste. It's the taxpayers' money. So good luck getting someone to look at the numbers in the private sector and go, hey, this would be a really smart investment. Yeah, we're going to get a hell of a return. No, they would have lost everything. So you're not going to get money from the private sector, Jerry Brown.
Nope.
You're lying. Of course, you had to lie all along the way because nothing ever penciled out. And we should punish him for that. It shouldn't be like, well, we just squandered $70 billion and wasted a bunch of time.
Live and learn.
Moving on. What other thoughts do you have, Jerry Brown, so we can listen? Idiot. Sorry.
But you're acting like you never needed to get from Merced to Bakersfield in a hurry.
Yeah. Let's go punch him. No, you know what you have to do? He should have to have sex with Linda Ronstadt now.
Come on.
Maybe that's too harsh. That may be too harsh. You're going to have to relive that. I mean, she could be in a wheelchair. I don't know, but that should be his punishment.
Wow.
She'd have to go down to Blue Bayou.
You thought you had it good.
That's right.
That's good.
Thank you.
Kareem Hunt, back in the news. TMC reports that the Cleveland Browns have announced they've signed him. The former Chiefs star who was cut after a video was posted showing him getting very violent with a woman in a Cleveland hotel about a year ago.
Was there Cleveland Hotel? He got signed by the Browns?
It's too poetic.
I didn't put that together.
Browns general manager John Dorsey announced the signing and reported a one-year deal.
Kareem can't leave the city limits until while they're on trial.
The two important factors, he said, one is that Kareem took full responsibility for his egregious actions and showed true remorse. And secondly, just as importantly, he is undergoing and is committed to necessary professional treatment and a plan that has been clearly laid out. And we have the footage if you don't remember. But yeah, he gets very, very violent.
Third
in a
factor, he
hotel
scores a
hallway.
lot of touchdowns.
That has nothing to do with it. They're trying to rehabilitate somebody.
He keeps pushing this
They got
girl,
and then
they're trying to hold
smacks
him
her right
back.
into the hotel, the elevator door.
Well, at some point, somebody gets loose. The part that's disturbing, the part that's always disturbing about this stuff is when the person or persons are trying to restrain somebody and they keep breaking away and going after the woman in this case. That's the part that it's not.
That's how they date.
It's not a situation.
Easy.
You're from California. You don't understand.
I don't understand.
Midwestern
It's a
values.
Midwestern thing. She must be suing him, right? There must be money here. God, it's crazy. All right, and listen, I've said this 1,000,000 times. There are cameras everywhere, and we are not used to that as human beings yet. We don't know. Everyone should know that anytime if you're in a hotel, there's a camera. If you're walking in front of a house, there's a Ring doorbell or whatever. Like, you can't act like you acted in the past. There is going to be footage of everything all the time.
Funny you should say that, and I wasn't going to bring it up today because it's so messy and it's so opaque and it's still unraveling. There's no sort of new news to report, but on that note, with Jesse Smollett from the show Empire that we talked about, it was just so insane with the people shouting at him and putting a noose around his neck and pouring bleach on him. Currently, the cops are having an issue because they said there's surveillance cameras all over that part of town, and we're just not seeing that attack. So they're trying to figure that out. He was supposed to hand his phone over and refused, and ended up, I think, printing out printed pages of his calls, his call log and his text with things redacted and things withheld, and they're just trying to sort through this whole thing.
It certainly sounds like less than what it was. Now the question is was it zero or was it something that was inflated? Definitely sounds like something was inflated for sure, because at first it was like he's got a broken rib and he's got cuts and all sorts of stuff. We'll see, but the sad part is there's so many of these stories now, and so many of them end up going another direction, that we're now in a posture that we shouldn't be in, which is you hear a story about something horrible. There could be some Me Too version. There could be some racial component to it. And now we all just fold our arms and go, well, we'll wait and see. Right. That's where we're at now. Right. but it's our fault for making too many Boy That Cried Wolves, and now everyone's in the posture of, well, now we'll just wait and see. And it's the news who takes it and runs with it and blows it up. They've forced us all to become sort of jaded.
Right.
And because now who hears a story of that rings of this who doesn't go, well,
let's wait and see.
We'll wait and see. I'm not even going to say anything. In the past, you would have went, oh, my God, that's horrible, or get that guy some help, or that poor woman, or whatever. Now it's just like,
it's a terrible place to be.
It is a bad place to be. And I think it's a kind of a thing where it's sort of like the news loves it. It's like, I'm going to talk, I'm going to put it in James Brolin parlance in a second. I'll do one for Gina Grad.
Oh.
And I'll do one for James Brolin.
I can't wait.
As well. First, let me tell you about betonline.ag. 91st Academy Awards are right around the corner. You going with Babs this year?
No, I am, because I think she's going to announce up here or give an award away or something. So, yeah. Normally, it's a jammy party at home. Yeah.
Understood.
I like,
Yeah, you'll be at the
Who
soft
needs it?
swirl
Been
shop
there,
in the
done
mall down there, just getting your fill. But this time you got to go. Yeah.
You got to suit up.
You got to get in the tuxedo and do the red carpet.
I'm one that, I go, oh, we got to go out tonight, no matter what it is. And then I get there and go, I'm having a pretty good time. I just saw somebody I really like.
Right.
And so, it's fine.
BetOnline.ag, what was I saying? Oh, you can get in on all the action with the Academy Awards. You sign up today for your free account. Use the promo code Podcast1. Get a 50% sign-up bonus. That's a 50% sign-up bonus. Who do you like? What do you think, Brian? You have any thoughts?
Mr. Brolin, please tell me you and your wife have seen the new version of A Star Is Born. Have you?
Yeah. Actually, we haven't seen it finished. We saw an early cut.
I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Did you like it when the version you saw?
Did.
It's one of my favorite movies of the year. It's up for Best Picture, of course.
It's great to hear.
It's very, very good. If you guys like a little long shot bet, it's 6-1 to win Best Picture right now. I think that's a value bet. It's got a better than 6-1 chance.
Yeah, well, I saw it today. They're pushing both of them for Best Actor, Best Actress.
They're both great.
Which,
they're both very good.
Yeah.
So you can go to betonline.ag. I saw a rough cut of Yentl, by the way. I don't want to be a one-upper, but I did see that.
Right.
BetOnline.ag. Use the promo code Podcast1 and get a 50% sign-up bonus. All right, now my example of the news.
Yes.
Crying wolf and taking this stuff and running with it before they source it out and find out all the details. Got the James Brolin version of it. I got the Gina Grad version of it. The James Brolin version of, you get the car, it's got the nitrous oxide hooked up to it. It's like instant horsepower. It's instant. It's instant 300 horsepower. I know you drove, I think, did something with the Whittington brothers at some point. Maybe Don Whittington back in the day.
Yeah, I think I got to drive one of their Porsches back east somewhere one day, and I never ended up racing it.
They drove a 935. Those were the crazy drug-running brothers who raced airplanes and were adrenaline junkies.
They would come in twin P-51s and land on the straightaway of the course and pull them off, and then their truck would be waiting. But there was too much money going on there for some reason.
Don and Bill Whittington. Yeah, well, maybe they did a little El Chapo action back in the day.
So.
But I talked to their mechanic. I was at Rennsport, the big Porsche event, and I was talking to the mechanic who built that car, and he said, oh, yeah, they hid nitrous oxide in that 935 Porsche. And I knew the story, and it won Le Mans, and they hid it. They hid it in a rocker panel, like a thin area of the car, and they welded it in.
You know what their claim to money was? That they were the largest motorhome, not motorhome, but
RV
dealers in Florida. You know,
I guess you have to say where you get your money.
They've been moving a lot of Airstreams.
And, everybody leaves New York and moves to Florida and buys one of those things. All the old people, right? So they were supposedly, that's where they got their money.
Wow.
But no, I heard they were running a 747 to South America every week.
It's a crazy story. I'll do a doc about them soon enough. But they had, back to my, what the hell?
Sorry,
the news. The news.
Never
it's
again.
Easy. It's easy. So Wyndham Brothers had a nitrous oxide in a 935, and they had a button on the steering wheel, which was the button for the radio. but
Right.
their
That was the
button
juice.
worked the juice. But I talked to their head mechanic about it at Rensport 6 months ago, and he said, I give them 3 seconds and then it would cut off. And I said, why? They said, because they would never stay off it. They would blow it up.
Right.
They would blow it. It's so good, so much power that you'd get addicted to just
There was
hitting
a
that
timer?
button. Yeah, he
Timer
said
on?
I'd give him 3 second shot of NOS and then it stopped.
Like a
because
morphine pump at a
That's
hospital.
yours. Because you're Jewish.
Oh, you get it.
And you go, now only when you're in severe pain and only when you really are feeling a high level of discomfort. Let me show you the chart. This got a happy face. This has a frowny face on it. If you're on frowny face, then you can hit. But you just keep hitting it.
Yeah.
You just keep hitting it.
You know me well.
And that's what the news has done with all the allegations and all the racism and all the events and all this guy stared down this decorated war veteran from the Navajo tribe. They've layered on the shit so thick and they kept it going and they kept pressing that button, and it was so addictive because it's like every time you touch it, big ratings. Every time you touch it, big ratings. But you keep hitting it, you blow up the engine. You become
Kill the
addicted to
patient.
it. You lose the sensation.
Yeah.
It doesn't work anymore. It works if you go to it on occasion when you need it, but if you keep going to it, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done. They've kept going to it.
Become the
and now
norm.
we've kind of went like, I don't believe it anymore. We'll see. Which is sad because when it does really happen, the next real situation happens, we're going to go, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that's the NOS. And,
Well put.
and that's the morphine. And I'm glad you know the Whittington brothers.
Yeah. You know, the best engine, they say, is the one that blows just as you cross the finish line. Means you use it just right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Whittingtons were nuts. I got to do a doc on those guys. They pleaded guilty to income tax evasion, conspiracy to smuggle marijuana into
guys
the
want to
U.S. from
cheat?
They
Colombia.
owned him
Yeah.
just on tax evasion.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the greatest prank ever is I know the guy who has the Whittington Brothers 935 Porsche, which is the last production car to ever win Le Mans outright. Now it's all prototypes and everything like that, but in 79, it was the last production. I mean, a platform built on a platform of production. It was insanely modified. Obviously, it was a Kramer 935 Porsche, but still sort of a production, whatever. Now it's all crazy stuff. And that car came in first. My Newman car came in second, first in its class. And that guy found the car, got it, discovered all the weird Whittington Brothers stuff, the cheats on it, had it painstakingly put back together over years by a guy who was an expert, blah, blah, blah. Took it out to Laguna Seca for like a track day. And this guy, I've told you guys this story, but I'll tell James. The guy rebuilt the car, Bruce Kenepa, hired a flatbed and a bunch of guys in DEA windbreakers and hats and everything to show up and confiscate the car in front of the guys. Like literally a $10 million car. The guy just got done paying for
They
it.
wore costumes?
They all wore costumes. There's a picture of they all showed up and they're like, this is not your car. This is government property. The Whittingtons
Seizing
owe
it.
millions and millions of dollars in
I
restitution.
don't remember in all these years a show of money more than the Whittingtons until Trump. You know?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Finally.
Everybody kind of keeps it down. Some guys might try for a while, but these guys were something.
If he could fit in a Porsche, he couldn't fit in that 924. So, yeah, there's got to be a doc about the Whittington brothers.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I mean,
I
it's
agree.
absolutely insane. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
What department store did you film Trapped in?
The one in the basement.
Actually, it was one that had just gone out of business downtown L.A. It was empty. Yeah.
Man, Dobermans were so hot in the 70s.
That was the hottest back when they had movie of the week. That was the hottest movie of the week of the year. That kind of took everything. It was kind of wonderfully stupid.
If you read
dare you.
the plot lines of like Killer Bees, if you just find the Killer Bees plot line, you will find some of the craziest plot lines. If you find a movie of the week, I think it was just called Killer Bees, but you can look that one up. I loved all those shows when I was a kid. Geico, man, you guys should go to Geico.com. Save a couple of bucks on your car insurance. Just go to Geico.com. In 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on your auto insurance. Take that extra money, put it in your pocket at Geico. It'll be the most rewarding thing you do all day at Geico. That's Geico.com. Killer Bee. Do you have the description of Killer Bee?
Yeah, from 1974. A strong-willed woman not only dominates her family of California wine growers, but also has a strange hold on a colony of bees in her vineyard.
Oh, good.
She has dominion over a colony of bees.
Supernatural element to this?
Who was this woman who starred in this? You're going to freak out.
Kate Jackson.
No.
Then let me check. She was first listed on IMDb. So
Kate Jackson was like 21.
Oh, Charlie's, yeah.
Yeah, she was too young for
Angela Lansbury?
Gloria Swanson.
Gloria
Wow.
Swanson had dominion over bees.
If only.
Come on.
Go, my pretties, fly.
Not really.
James, I won't ask for names. And there's probably been 5 or 6, but you must have bagged one of the angels at some point in the height of your career.
Angels. Yeah.
Charlie's Angels?
Yeah.
Yeah? Say you got one of them.
It might have.
If you tell me it was Cheryl Ladd, I'm going to need to smell something.
Cameron Diaz.
Like success. I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah,
success.
Obviously,
It's the
we got
smell
it.
of victory.
I was, I'm a pretty loyal guy, but I was in a really bad marriage for a long time.
And you're always really good looking.
Yeah.
Well, whatever, but I must say I did wander a couple of times, and I don't believe in it. I don't believe in divorce. I'm in my 3rd marriage, and I hit the winner this time.
She's also.
So, it's weird life, huh? You can't choose for anybody else. You never know what's going to happen with any relationship, and it's potluck, isn't it, boys?
I don't know if
There's your answer.
22 years now. I'm in love.
I don't know if
Mazel
anyone
tov.
brings this up to you, but for a certain generation, i.e. mine and Gina's, I'm assuming, you're P.W. Herman. You're P.W.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but it's pretty awesome.
You're PW.
Oh, it's just amazing.
Our favorite movie
Actually,
inside our favorite movie.
I forget who the head of the studio was, Robert something at the time at Warner's, and they called me because we were shooting a hotel on the Warner's lot.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yes.
And they,
Right.
they said, we'd like you to do a role, like a James Bond in Pee-wee's movie. I said, well, ask them what it pays. And they said, well, we don't have any money.
It's 4 hours.
So I didn't hear. And then I got a call on Sunday, and I was reading the Sunday paper, and I love the travel section, So they said, okay, well, we don't have any money, but we'll send you anywhere you want. So I'm turning pages. What's the farthest ticket I could turn in for the money later, Or where would I like to go, So anyway, it just said Hong Kong. I said, yeah, I want to go to Hong Kong. I want to stay in a really good hotel for 2 of us. And so that's what I got for Pee-wee's.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
And, it was kind of like all for 5-year-olds at the time to me, but
Yeah,
Wow.
it sure was.
the problem is
And those 5-year-olds
overnight they
grew
were
up.
18.
And did you know Morgan Fairchild at the time, I imagine?
I
She
knew
was-
Morgan because she did all the she'd do any show, any
Right,
TV
right.
show. So she'd guested on shows I've been on several times.
So you had fun with it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up having fun with it, and there's a little clip with Morgan on YouTube. I think with the 2 of us, which every once in a while I'll click over and show one of my grandkids or something like, I know you are, but what am I,
Of course.
So stupid. So wonderful. I love stupid. That's why I love Life in Pieces, because I get to be so stupid.
About to say, coming back to CBS soon. So keep your eyes open for its 4th successful season. And Being Rose in theaters now, which is a movie you can also get on demand and YouTube, Amazon, and Google Play, as well with Sybil Shepherd. Next time we'll get into that when it comes out on Blu-ray or something. I knew you'd be great. I knew I'd love you. I knew with all that, being chased by Dobermans and the Whittington brothers and all that. I knew we'd immediately bond. All right, so me, yeah. What do you do? Bald Brian, check out his socks. Go to AdamCarolla.com. Just a couple days left for that, and not Taco Bell material. My premiere's coming up. You can just go to adamcarolla.com/events or tug.com and fill out that theater near you. And the Peterson Automotive Museum event we're doing on the 10th. We're doing the automotive stuff during the day. Leno's going to be there. And then Kimmel by night when we do the 10th anniversary. Good sports coming up. Until next time, this is Adam Carolla for Vinnie Tortorich, James Brolin, Gina Grad, and Ball Bryan. Say it. Mahalo.
Who fucked up your hair?
Hey, Bishop. Leave us a voicemail with your questions and comments at 888-634-1744. And for tickets and info on all the live podcasts, Mangria events, books, movies, and more, go to adamcarolla.com and stay tuned for AP News.